NHL best bet. Okay, we're going to try and make this now 12-2 with our last 14 plays with this one after the Nashville under. I am going to the Edmonton. Didn't discuss. Ottawa might have looked like they improved a bit in those two games where they gave Montreal absolute fits on the weekend. Sometimes teams come out of these. That's a rivalry, and they played Montreal absolutely tough in both games. Sometimes you come out of those ones, and then it's an absolute flat spot in the next one. And we know what Edmonton did to Ottawa in the two games they played. I think they put up like 15 goals or something like that in those in a couple games, 8-5, and I think it was 7-3. I'm going to Edmonton -1.5 plus 135. I like the fact that even though this is on the road, a team with a ton of offense against a team that could be in a flat spot here, and you're getting plus money laying a goal and a half. So Edmonton -1.5 plus 135 as the power play best bet today.
What's up, guys? Welcome back here to WagerTalk TV. It is puck time. Let's talk some hockey, guys. I'm joined by Carmine Bianco, of course, and Mr. Don Buster today, breaking down the Tuesday NHL slate. And yesterday, guys, an interesting day. Islanders and Rangers stay under, just a 2-0 game. Kind of a boring game there. The Canucks and the Leafs edge that one out 3-1. The Canucks continue to struggle. An interesting game, though, guys, with the Blues and the Coyotes. I had a small piece of the Blues action. However, I was on the puck line, but man, oh man, with half a second to go in that game, the Coyotes tie it up, send things to overtime, go to a shootout, and then they end up getting the win. A crazy night in the NHL. We're hoping to have another big night here as well. I did have my first losing night in the NHL in probably about 6 or 7 days. Looking forward to getting back here in the win column. Carm, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. I love that intro by our producer. The good news, there's good news and bad news to everything. The good news is that show best bet was a winner to make it 12-2. The bad news is that was the only winner for me yesterday. Absolutely got punched in the teeth. That St. Louis game, my God. I know a lot of you guys in the chat likely had that St. Louis play. That was Prez's 5% play. And I also had a piece of that game as well. Just losing the game the way it did, less than a second left, they tied up. It goes to a shootout, and then one of the Blue shootout players doesn't even get a shot on net. He loses the puck as he's skating in. It was just I want to use the word cluster F, but you know what it is. We'll move on to today, but that was absolutely brutal. We have Buster with us, and I'm excited because I know today is $2 Tuesdays, so I'm going to do the promo for you, Andrew, because you are the $2 Tuesday capper at WagerTalk, and you have a 5% NHL play that you're going to tell me what it is at the end of the show, because I need to get down on this one.
Yeah, I can't wait for tonight. I haven't had too many 5% plays so far in the year, just one actually on the entire season. But right now, that NHL 5% run, guys, is at 15-3. Last 18, that's 83% for a net profit of over 58%. So, these are rare plays, but for me in the NHL, they are very, very rare. I don't release too many of them. 15-3, my last 18, 5%. Mr. Buster, how are things, buddy?
Hey, Andrew. Hey, Carm. How you doing? Things are going well. That's not true. I'm going to be honest here. The last 2 days have been a little bit of hell, but I live in Mexico. It's going to be the 4th straight day of 90 degrees. It's beautiful here, so I can't complain that. But just want to say, yeah, I had how things change in a week, right? I was 10-0 coming on Tuesday show last week, and now here we are Tuesday again. And yesterday, it sounds like right along with you guys, I ended up taking the collar in NHL for the first time all year, and just really have had a couple bad days. And kind of to make matters worse, I've got, we all watch the Super Bowl. I've got that stupid song from that weekend in my head, like, ooh, like that whole thing just is driving me insane. And it's so bad that, I'm going to the beer, get a fridge, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Mrs. Buster's going, hey, what the hell?
Buster, it worked. It worked. They got you. It worked on you. They got you. It obviously worked. They did their
got
job.
me, all right. But like I say, on the positive side, it's beautiful here in Mexico. Got up this morning, so when you're 50 years old and you get up, that's always good. So hopefully we can get on a winning streak here and find everyone a few winners on today's NHL card.
Good stuff. We'll definitely look to do that. And I think I heard that line from Tony Finn every day on the baseball show in the summer. And any day above ground is a good day. I mean, I think we can be a little more positive than that. Like you said, Buster, when you're going outside in the sun, after this show is over, I have to scrape my car off with snow and ice on it. So I think you're doing a little bit better than I am. And as far as the $2 Tuesday plays go, of course,
Hey, Andrew, just wait till you hit 50, get into 55 and you'll see things at a different light. That's just the way it goes. Believe me, when I was your age, 23, piss and vinegar, no problem, having a great time, drinking, party, and everything. Life was all good. Once you hit a certain point, for some reason, your whole mindset changes. And believe me, I never thought I'd be that guy. Believe me. But
if you're,
hey, Buster.
We need to get on with the show, Buster, but I just want to let you know, if you're pissing vinegar, you really need to get that checked. And the doctors in Mexico might not be the ones you want looking after you right now. So take it away, Andrew.
I mean, also, it can't be too tough of a life living there. But I just wanted to say Drew Martin over at sportsmemo.com has his big basketball play in college hoops. Drew is a longtime proven winner in college hoops action over at Sports Memo. And I think that you guys should all go over and check him out as well. That play, again, is just $2. But guys, let's get into our face-off play here. It is going to be the Sharks and the Kings. We haven't really talked about them too much, but I think that we should start talking about these two teams because, first of all, we talked about how stacked up this division is, right? Carm, we've discussed how top-heavy it can be, but we've seen some competitive nature from the bottom half of it to the midsection. And now the Kings and the Sharks meet again here. Minus 120 line here for the Sharks. And I will say this. I've been very, very critical, I guess I will use the word of, for this San Jose D pairings. I haven't really been too good with them. Mark-Edward Vlasic hasn't really been what he's used to be. Brent Burns is getting up there like Buster. I look at things right now, and I think that the LA Kings at plus 100 could be in a pretty good bounce back spot here. So I actually lean towards the Kings. As long as they're relatively healthy, I believe that they don't have too many all-stars, but they do have a few lines that can be pretty dangerous, and they do have a pretty tough team defense-wise. So I feel like in this spot here, I'm going to go ahead with the plus 100 on the Kings.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me, Andrew, because I looked over these games yesterday afternoon and again at night and ran some numbers, and I just didn't want any part of a side in this game. But I found some decent stats and I have this up at WagerTalk as a free play. It's surprising the fact that these teams have not played in well over a year. They haven't been on the same ice surface in well over a year. 2019 was the last time they met, and that's because of when they were ready to play each other. The pandemic hit and the new scheduling hit, and these teams were nowhere near sniffing the playoffs. With that said, you look at this year and the way the totals have gone with these teams, and we talked about this, as much as these teams will play a more defensive game when they're playing the Colorados and the St. Louises and the Vegas Golden Knights of this West, when they face each other or they face the lower echelon of teams in the West, there have been higher scoring games. Look at the total. The total's at 5.5 in this game. And you look at the Kings. The Kings are 8-3 to the over when on the number of 5.5. The Sharks are 6.4. These teams are averaging over 6 goals a game so far this year. Then you look at sort of goals allowed so far, and they're second and third from the bottom in total goals allowed so far, with the Blues, who are top of the division right now, having allowed 43. But you look at the amount of games played and the actual goals against average so far per game is higher for these two teams. They're rock bottom in the West. So for me, that's enough in itself of just raw numbers to want to take the over here. So over 5.5 for me, because I think that as this gets closer to game time, we very well could see this game go to 6, which is hard to believe in an LA Kings game, but over 5.5, you can grab it now.
Well, Carm, I love those 5.5, so I love to hear it. And Buster, as far as the total goes, we'll get your thoughts on this side as well. But it's interesting. San Jose, they've been really on and off. It's been a 2-1 game, then a 5-4 game, a 3-0 game, and then a 7-3 game. And I think that shows a lot about their inconsistency defensively. So again, when I look at this club here, I like LA actually to win this game, but I do agree with Carmine on the over 5.5.
Yeah, for this game, for me, guys, here, it looks like I might, as far as what I always do, I look at the game and right away, my first instinct here was LA and over. But then I dug into the numbers a little bit. San Jose, I know it's been a year and I know it's a whole different time in what we're doing here. But San Jose is 11-2 in the last 13 in LA. I mean, those kind of things, I know it's a whole different year, but they kind of stand out. They also have gone, the last 10 games these guys have played have went to the under. So 8 out of 10 to the under. Again, these guys will be playing on Thursday night. So for me, you never know. I know Quick's been bad in the net, and they haven't confirmed a starter. It's going to be Dubnyk probably, I think, or it might be Jones. But anyways, I'm actually going to take a look at this game, watch the game, see what happens. Because then the next game is on Thursday. But San Jose, they haven't played at home this year. I know they had some COVID trouble, but they have not played a home game. This will be number 11 on the road. Then on Thursday, it's going to be 12 on the road. I'm going to watch this game tonight, see what those trends. Carmine made some great trends the other way. See how it all shakes out. And I tell you, if San Jose wins tonight, I'll be all over LA on Thursday. So for me here, it's no play. I'll be watching the game, but with great interest.
It should be an interesting game, and those games are getting a little bit more fun. Even though they aren't really the top level teams, we're seeing a pick'em line here. Two teams that are relatively close to the exact same skill level. Let's get into our next game up here, guys. This is going to be the marquee matchup of the day: the Philadelphia Flyers and the Washington Capitals. Flyers are minus 120 favorites here. And Buster, I'm going to go right back to you.
Yeah, I see that. I see that there were 120 favorites, Philadelphia is, which kind of surprised me a bit. I mean, that first game, Washington outplayed them like crazy. Unfortunately, they had some really bad goaltending going on. So I know Samsonov is off the COVID list. He practiced yesterday, I believe. So I'm not sure if they're going to play him, though, or not. So you might want to check to see who's actually confirmed in that game first. Because if it's Ivanisek, he played terrible the other day. Elliott's in net for Philly. He's been looking pretty good this year, 2.19 goals against average. But I know these back-to-back games have been tending to go a little bit on the over. 6 here. Again, if I play this game, I think I will take a small play on the over, and only because I gotta believe Philly wins that first game. But I gotta believe they're gonna play way better than that first game. Maybe the odds makers are telling you that because it's minus 115, right? So I don't really want to be sitting on a side watching, a 3-3 overtime game and hoping for an overtime win, something like that. So I want nothing to do with the side here. I'll have a small play on that over, especially if Samsonov is not in the net.
Well, to Buster's point, that first meeting, Carm, was just unbelievable, man. It's 7-4. I think an interesting point to bring up is Sean Couturier makes his return to the lineup, and you and I discussed on the show his importance to the team, and if we were looking to bet on or against them without him in that lineup, but he made an impact immediately. Why do I feel so strongly to mention that, Carm? Well, I forgot to put him in my lineup for fantasy hockey Sunday morning, and I actually lost my matchup to my buddy. So that's how I know about that, and maybe too many drinks Saturday night. But I think he's a huge part of that team, and he definitely showed it. So 7-4 to Buster's point, Carm. Do you see any reason why this game can't go over again?
See
Is that a no?
the long pause
Is
there,
that
Andrew?
is,
The long,
that's a
the
dramatic.
long,
That
the
was
long, and
dramatic.
it drives
That
our
was
producer.
dramatic.
It drives our producer nuts. The long pause of before I get into this game. Likely, listen, Philadelphia did one thing right in that game, which was after that the first penalty they took, where Ovechkin scored, they stayed out of the box, and they 7 goals, 5-on-5. I know the last one was into an empty net, but 7 5-on-5 goals, and they stayed out of the box. It was all Philly in that game, and yeah, welcome back Couturier. He adds stability to that team in the sense of they no longer need to juggle the lines. 6 is the right number here. I would actually, the funny thing is, I would actually lean more to the over. While I do like the over, I would lean more to it if it was Carter Hartnett, just because I always talk about his splits on the road, and you sort of have that quick little revenge for Washington here, wanting to get back at Philadelphia. 7-4 is an embarrassing score for them at the end of the day. So I don't want to take a side here. If I had to, if you held a gun to me, I might lean to Washington here just on the revenge factor alone. But I'll look at the total here with a small play on the total. I'm not going balls out on this one.
All right, that's Carmine Bianco at WagerTalk.com, Mr. Buster Sports over at SportsMemo.com. Guys, let's get into the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Nashville Predators. This one is kind of interesting because, well, yesterday my only winner with the clients was a 2-teamer with the Bolts and the Oilers, which actually turned out to be a plus 140 price. And these teams have played each other several times now. And every time I've said to myself, why am I not walking to the window, but sprinting to the window to bet the Tampa Bay Lightning? And the answer now to me is there's no other reason why. There's no other reason why you shouldn't be in a hurry to back this Tampa Bay Lightning team. They are superior. They are stronger goaltending-wise. They have better puck-moving defensemen. And their top 6 are playing incredibly better. It is like a solar eclipse right now when we see some secondary scoring from the Nashville Predators. So seeing this minus 165, it really makes me scratch my head thinking it should be way, way more. And I think the reason why numbers are continuing to stay lower than they should be against Nashville, it's because they're tricking us into thinking that they're actually competing more than they are, just because they're keeping things close. It's almost like Nashville is playing not to lose instead of playing to win. If anybody can get that expression, they're not really attacking and being aggressive. They're being very conservative. Yesterday, I also leaned towards the team total in this one. I would go right back to that same thought process. Carm, I'm being kind of rough here on the Predators, but they haven't really showed me any signs of aggression.
No, and I get it. And the final scoreline in that game, I think I talked about taking the contrarian approach on that game yesterday and giving Nashville some type of a chance of beating this Tampa team. The final scoreline obviously is inflated because of 2 empty net goals. It was essentially a 2-1 game. It was a chippy game. A lot of penalties in that game. And that Nashville power play, Dave Koken's talked about it. It's absolutely horrible. They just can't seem to score. Yeah, they got a goal in the third period, but they needed those goals in that first and second period on those power plays to make this a game and not fall behind. I'm going to stay away from this game, Andrew. I know we're featuring this game, and I would love to tell you I like the under, I like the over, I like Nashville, I like Tampa, but it's just one of those games where I'm pretty certain that whatever play I make on this game it might be the wrong one. So with that said, this is one of those games where I can't fault you for taking the team total on this. Tampa's the better team, definitely. And until we see some type of pushback from Nashville, it's really hard to back them.
Well, Buster, this is our line move segment here, line change. So let's ask you this. Do you agree with the adjustment that we've seen and what we will continue to see throughout this day on Tampa?
Well, truthfully, Andrew, of course, Tampa Bay they've won 5 straight, and 3 of those games have been against Nashville. Now, and I can't fault you on that team total either, because they've put up 5-4 and 4 last night. I know there's a couple empty netters. So But as far as the movement goes, yeah, it's going to be moving that way because that's what the public's going to bet Tampa Bay. That's just the way it is. You might see 170, 180. They beat them 3 times. For me, though, tonight is going to be the first time. So it's just a warning for you, everybody. It's the first time Tampa Bay has actually played a true back-to-back. Every other time, whether they play back-to-back teams, they've always had a day in between. It's the first game this year that they're actually playing a true back-to-back. Now, we know they have Valesky in net tonight, and what's he got, a 1.88 ERA, and Soros has been terrible for Nashville. But Nashville always still has been a good home team. They've beat them 3 times. I'm not saying anything about taking Nashville here, but I'm cautioning people about taking what a lot of people might believe is easy money on Tampa Bay. No offense, Andrew, but I like your team total over on Tampa Bay. I actually like this game to go over the 5.5 because, like I say, the last game was a tight defensive game. Traditionally, on back-to-backs, the defense is a little tough to play defense. It's way easier to play offense on an actual back-to-back. And we have already seen this year, only slightly, but on the actual back-to-back games, those totals have been trending over. They played 4-3, 5-2, and now 4-1. Again, last night was a lock under because it was 4-1 and 2-1 late goals. But to me, tonight game could be a good over. Maybe it's another 4-3. But I don't want any part of any side here. But I'm going to take it over. It's 5.5. They'll get to 6 somehow.
Good stuff there, and I agree with you. If that total stays there, Buster, I'm right there with you on that total. With Nashville, although they haven't been the best team scoring-wise to count on, they are getting scored on at a decent rate to have that 5.5. I just want a couple interesting numbers here for you guys. I know that some of these can be very backdated and very, from back then, but maybe last year, the year before that. But Lightning are 7-3, their last 10 games on 0 days rest. So to Buster's point with the back-to-back spot, hasn't happened this year, but just historically, the Lightning are 97-27 their last 124 games when their opponent has scored 2 or less goals in their previous game. I mean, they have dominated losing teams. They have dominated teams that have a losing record. And the reason why I bring it up is that they have proven that they do not take their foot off the gas pedal. I mean, to prove that I'm unbiased, Buster, we saw it. I mean, our Montreal Canadiens played a great effort against the Vancouver Canucks and then 2 subpar games against the Ottawa Senators. The Lightning have proven that they do not take their foot off the gas pedal, and I think it's a good reason to like them here again tonight, to think that they will not take them lightly moving into their next game on the second half of the back-to-back. Let's get into our dump or chase segment here, the Vegas Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim's been a very interesting team. I've been following them a lot. I'm using this word interesting a lot today because these matchups that we see, sometimes it's favorites and we're wondering to keep following them. And sometimes it's these dogs like the Ducks and we're wondering, how real are they? How competitive can this team be? Golden Knights minus 225 here. Ducks plus 185. I cashed a winner with the Ducks on the weekend, but the night prior to that, I also had a loser on the under as they played the Sharks. So when I look at this game here, we talk about this dump or chase segment, Carm. I think for me now, it's going to be more so just, hey, dump it. I don't love it, but I don't love the dog. In this spot in particular, I don't love the dog. Obviously, they're minus 225 for a reason, but I'm not really in love with taking the puck line or anything like that tonight with the Golden Knights.
I'm there. Sorry about that, guys. I had on mute there while I cleared my throat.
I liked it better that way.
Yeah. I don't say the word 100 times. With that,
Me too, Andrew.
2 Montreal Canadian fans. I'm getting chirped by 2 Montreal Canadian fans. Seriously? Come on, guys. You barely got by Ottawa. So with that said, getting back to this Vegas Anaheim game, we talked about earlier in the show, earlier on our shows about and the season about Gibson, and he's likely in net tonight. He had a pretty good start to the season, and a couple of games against Vegas where He almost stole one in that second game against Vegas, where the Knights only won 2-1 after winning 5-2 in the first one. And a few games after that where he stood on his head. But look at some of his numbers haven't been good since. Other than that, I think it was a 3-1 win over the LA Kings. He allowed 4 against San Jose, 4 before that in St. Louis, 3. They chased them. 3 goals on 6 shots, 2 minutes into the game, and he got chased. 3 before that against Arizona. It's one of those things where it's only so long before he catches up to you. The total here is only 5.5. And I know Pietrangelo is probably out tonight, but I'm willing to go with we see the not so great Gibson tonight, as opposed to the one that stood on his head earlier in the season. And it's a short season right now. The total is only 5.5 here. So Andrew, you like these 5.5s? I'm staying away from the sides, and I'm going total here over 5.5.
I can't argue that, Carm, because he's definitely going to get peppered with shots, and eventually you can't be the goaltender of the year in every single game when you're getting that many shots against you. Buster, do you agree with Carmine?
I agree with him because Vegas is just so good and Anaheim is very poor offensively. He needed that rest. Miller played the last game, so he's had some rest. I don't think he's played since Friday, so he needs some rest. We all know how this game is going to go. It's either going to go like the first game that they played in Vegas, the 5-2 game where Vegas just dominated them, and because they're the better team, right? Then the next game, like Carmine said, Gibson almost stole that game for him. So that's the way Anaheim plays. Do I want to lay 230 or whatever with Vegas and count on that they're going to show up and want to crush these guys again? I don't know. I know I'm not going to lay that kind of price because I'll never do that. But I don't know if I can Vegas at -1.5. I think you have to lay negative money, so I'm not even going to do that. Vegas regulation, maybe. But I mean, again, I think that's probably -150, 160. This is one of these games that, for me, when you can see how the game's going to go, I don't know how Anaheim even scores. Maybe because Vegas is short on the D. Maybe they get some goals. Maybe, you know what? You can't even say, well, maybe they get a bunch of power plays. Maybe that goes against them. I think they're 6%. They're the worst power play team in the NHL. So it's very tough. It's one of those games that you don't want to be putting your money on Vegas. That's such a big price. But you really can't trust an Anaheim team to come here and beat them. But again, if Gibson stands on his head, Anaheim's going to be in this game. If not, Vegas wins by 3 or 4, and you guys will be happy with your over. But for me, this game's a pass.
And that's just the thing, Buster. Who is going to score for that team? Who is going to score for the Anaheim Ducks? Maxime Comtois is one of the leading scorers on this team. The guy wasn't even supposed to be a standout on this team at all. So it's a great point raised by Buster. I think if the Ducks don't get to 3 goals at least, they're not winning this game. Quick point there, Carm.
Yeah, Andrew, I just wanted to say on Twitter right now, Darren Drager's reporting that tonight's Washington-Philadelphia game is likely to be postponed. Flyers defenseman Travis Sanheim was added to the NHL's COVID list. So with him on the list, it is likely going to have that trickle-down effect, and tonight's game will likely be postponed.
You hate to see it. You hate to see it. This is my live reaction here. Disappointed. It was our marquee matchup. It was supposed to be the best game of the day. And I'm not just a hockey bettor. I love to watch these games. So disappointed to see it. Disappointed to see these schedules getting shortened day by day. But we'll move forwards and we'll discuss the games that we can talk about. Let's get into our barn burner segment here, guys, as the Oilers take on the Senators in their second half of their back-to-back. The total sits at 6.5 here. And here's what I'll say about this one. The Ottawa Senators have played 3 games pretty much with great defensive ability. And by great, I mean great for the Senators. They've been able to hold off teams. They haven't gotten blown up for 5 or 6 goals in a couple games. Pat on the back to them. However, McDavid hasn't really had a standout game in a few games. I feel like he might be due. I feel like that the core of this Oilers team is actually assembling a little bit. I'm not sure if you guys will agree with me, but we've talked a lot on Puck Time over the past 2-3 years on this show about the depth of this team. Do they have secondary scoring? And against the Ottawa Senators, geez, like, I mean, the Oilers' fourth line looks good. That's the problem. And now we're entering the second half of a back-to-back. I believe you see not just physical, fatigue, but also mental fatigue. The good news is the Ottawa Senators have younger players, so they shouldn't be too tired, and they should be having a little pep in their step. But I still expect this game to be a little bit higher scoring and the Senators to hop right back on the over train. Buster, what do you think about this total here?
Well, I'm right with you, Andrew, on that. And I sat here last week and told everybody after that first Edmonton-Ottawa game that went 8-5, I said, I'll be betting these overs all the time like a dog on a bone. It's almost kind of like that song in my head all the time. Sometimes I just can't get off some certain things. And this game, again, we talked about it earlier. It's a back-to-back, like a real back-to-back, not a day in between. We watched that game last night, and I know what you're saying, Andrew, as far as Ottawa's been keeping the puck out of the net. But Murray, for some reason, like even against our Canadians, he stood on his head. That those games could have went over easy. Last night, if you saw how many 2-on-1s did Edmonton screw up last night, it was unbelievable. And they didn't do too well with the power plays either. I think because it's the next night. Like I always say, the defense isn't as they don't play as much defense as they would in the first game. 6.5. They play another 4 times after this. As they say, I'm going to bite again on the 6.5 over. You got Koskinen in net for Edmonton. I like that. He's 3.55 goals against, and Hogberg's in what's he 4.54. So, if there's a game that's going to be another one like the first one between these guys, tonight might be the night. And over 6.5 for me.
What about you, Carmine? Buster points out the fact that there were multiple 2-on-1s that could have resulted in goals. We can only base on what we saw. However, I think things are a little bit different here in game 2.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with. I'll make this one quick. I'm going to agree with Buster on this one. And Buster, that repetitive song is almost like that Seinfeld thing where Costanza, where it just sticks with you. You say it enough times, and it's going to stick with you. With that said, if you watch that Edmonton game, and I did watch the game, while Ottawa took quite a few penalties in that game, there were really only, I think, 3 true power plays in that game, just because there were some offsetting ones, and then ones that turned into 4-on-4s because Edmonton picked up a quick penalty. I think we see something different tonight, as well as Ottawa. Ottawa's like sort of committed to trying to play defense after getting blown out in a few of their games, and they did in Montreal, and they did in this game against Edmonton last night. But the talent pool on this team just isn't there. So at some point, especially, and you see it in a back-to-back normally, is where that team is worn down in that second game, and we tend to see a higher scoring game. So I'm going to agree with Buster on this one. I think we see goals in this game, and 6.5 is really the only play here for me.
Good stuff there. Quite a bit of a consensus play on this show, it seems like. Guys, I want to mention one prop real quick I have been cashing on is a shot prop with Tim Stützle over his shot prop at 2.5 or 3 with plus money. I know not every book will offer the shot prop, but Stützle is a young guy. He's a rookie for this team, and he has looked more comfortable with every game he has played. And if your book does offer that, guys, I feel like you should hop on that train, just like I have with guys like Stamkos and Pasternak and all of these shooters on those teams that just get one-timers left and right all day long. Let's get into our power play segment. Carmine, you're on fire with the power plays, man. Let's keep the streak going, keep the good times rolling, as they say. Let's get a power play from you for today, and any promos you might have.
All right, we're going to try and make it now 13-2 if we can pick up a win tonight on these power plays. I'm going to go back to the game I mentioned earlier, the San Jose LA game. I'm still seeing 5.5s out there. This is a game that I put up as a free play and one that I played last night. I'm going to go over the total of 5.5. If you can only find 6s out there, but there are 5.5s, this is why you should have multiple outs at all times. 6 is still fine there, but over 5.5 as your power play best bet.
Buster, let's get a best bet from you and any promo you might have.
Okay, Andrew. Like since I come on here once a week on Tuesdays, I've been not so much best bets, but finding a real good plus money play. And what I have tonight, I have Calgary first period puck line -0.5, getting plus 170. Calgary looked like they were coming around after beating Edmonton on Saturday, and these guys just played 3 games, and I believe Calgary were the better team, but they lost 2 of the 3. I think they come out with purpose tonight. I like them right off the bat to get a jump on Winnipeg, because if they get behind, they know what happens. They'll lose. So I'm going to go with Calgary first period -0.5 plus 170. And over at Sports Memo, I know you guys have appreciation week at WagerTalk, but at Sports Memo, we have 7 days all access for only $49. Use promo code NEXT49, and you can get all my plays, not just hockey. You can get them in NBA and college basketball as well. And like I say, after a couple bad days, we're looking for a good week here.
Good stuff there from Buster. Check him out and grab his plays, not just NHL, but across the board as well. Buster, I've known him to be great with the college action, so check him out in college as well. Guys, my best bet's going to be Dallas here. I'm going to take the -1 route here with the half bet on the puck line, half on the money line. I believe that Dallas, although they have injuries, I believe they will bounce back after losing to the Blackhawks. They are the far superior team. They have the better goaltender, and I feel like their depth will play a huge factor in this one. It is $2 Tuesday, like mentioned. I'm 15-3. My last 18 NHL 5% top plays, guys. This is a great situational play that I have backed countless times during my career of professional handicap. Again, it's a spot I look forward to cashing in on once again. Guys, you said in our comment section yesterday, maybe we were a little bit hungover from the Super Bowl, or we didn't really have the best pep in our step yesterday on the show. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Quite a few smiles and a lot of fun. So thanks a lot, guys, for watching. The power plays are listed on your screen there. I have the Stars -1. Carm went with the Sharks and Kings over, and Buster with the plus 170 Flames in the first period -0.5. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you tomorrow right here on WagerTalk TV for Puck Time.
Football season is over, and on behalf of everyone at WagerTalk, we want to say thank you for the continued trust you put in our team of handicappers. Our ongoing success relies on the loyalty and support of customers like you. As a way to say thanks, from February 8th through the 14th, we're running a Customer Appreciation Week, and all daily pick packages at WagerTalk.com will be discounted to $9. And yes, of course, that includes any 5% best bets, normally priced at $40. Once again, thank you for your business and trust in the WagerTalk family.